I've just walked out of Disclosure Day, and honestly, wow. This wasn't just another Alien movie. This felt like Spielberg doing what Spielberg does best. Taking something huge, impossible, frightening, beautiful, and deeply human, and making you feel it. There were sequences in this movie that reminded me of the old favourites. You can feel echoes of those classic Spielberg moments. The wonder, the fear, the awe, the mystery, the sense of something bigger pressing into our ordinary world. But this film also has its own identity. It has a strong theme. It has powerful messaging. And it asks some of the really difficult questions that stayed with me long after the credits rolled. Because Disclosure Day isn't just asking, what if disclosure happened? It's asking who would control it, who would bury it, what would humanity do with it, and what would it do to us? Now, before I go any further, I want to make something really clear. This is going to be a spoiler-free review, and the reason for that is simple. I don't want to take this experience away from anyone. Disclosure Day is one of those films you'll need to sit with. You need to go in, feel it for yourself, and let the story take you where it's going to take you.
What did you steal?
Secrets. The data they paid me to protect.
Are they people?
No.
Good morning, Kansas City. Let's take a look at today. Today's.
Do you understand what she's saying?
I hear it's gibberish. I can't understand it.
And I can.
What's happening to me?
People are starved for the truth.
I'm a part of it now. I'm just sorry they made you a part of it too.
Hello, Jane. Please, have a seat.
This 79-year terror campaign of lies has to end.
What are you gonna do?
Full disclosure to the whole world.
That truth will upend all established order across the entire world. If you do this, there's no undoing it.
Why would they do this?
When the time is right, everything will become clear.
Whatever happens, don't you let go.
So I'm not here to break down every scene, every reveal, or every major moment. I'm here to talk about what it made me feel. And if you haven't seen it yet, here's what I want you to do. I want you to subscribe to Existence Unknown now, so that way you can find this video again after you've seen the film. Because I genuinely want you to come back here and tell me what it did to you. Not just whether you liked it, not just whether you thought it was a good movie. I want to know how it made you feel. Did it make you hopeful? Did it make you uneasy? Did it make you emotional? Did it make disclosure feel closer, bigger, stranger, or more human? And if you've already seen it, Don't wait. Jump into the comments right now and share your experience. Because that, to me, is what makes this review uniquely Existence Unknown. We're not just talking about the images. We're not just talking about the sequences. We're not just talking about the stunning performances from the cast. We're talking about what the movie does to the disclosure conversation. Where does it take us emotionally? Where does it take us psychologically? And where does it take us spiritually? And also, what does it make us ask about the real day, if that ever comes? I genuinely think this is one of those films where the conversation after the movie might just be as important as the movie itself. I knew this was going to be a wild ride. I expected the spectacle. I expected the emotion. I expected Spielberg to pull on those big cinematic levers. But what I didn't expect was how much it would make me think about myself. How would I feel if the day actually came? Not in theory, not as a YouTube topic, not as a government file, not as a blurry video, not as another congressional hearing, but the real day. The day where the world changes. The day we all look up or look at our phones, or watch a broadcast and realize tomorrow will not be the same as yesterday. That's what Disclosure got me thinking about, and that's why it works so well for me. One of the most interesting things about the experience was the audience. They were quiet, not bored, not flat quiet, completely invested quiet. You could feel everyone leaning into it, waiting to see where the story was going, how it was all going to come together, and what the film was really trying to say. That kind of silence in a cinema says a lot. It means people were in it. They weren't just watching a movie about disclosure. They were sitting with the idea of disclosure. And that's a very different thing. One thing I really want to talk about without spoiling anything is the way the characters seem to represent different parts of humanity facing disclosure. That was one of the most powerful layers of the film for me, because this doesn't just feel like a story about people reacting to an event. It feels like a story about humanity reacting to the possibility reality is bigger than we thought. Different characters seem to carry different parts of us. The emotional part, the logical part, the creative part, the faithful part, the resistant part, and maybe even the frightened part. The part of humanity that doesn't want tomorrow to change because yesterday, even with all its problems, still feels safer. That's what made the film feel bigger than just a disclosure story. It became almost like a map of different states of what we might move through if disclosure ever really happened. Some people would need evidence, some would need meaning, some would need control, some would need hope, some would resist it entirely. Some would try to understand it through science, some would understand it through faith, some would feel inspired, some would feel threatened. And some would simply stand there, overwhelmed by wonder, trying to process the fact that the universe had become something else. This is where the film really worked for me. It didn't treat disclosure as a single reaction. It treated it as a human event. And human beings are not simple. We're emotional, we're logical, we're creative, we're spiritual, we're afraid, we're curious. We want the truth, but we also want to feel safe when the truth arrives. And the film seemed to understand that. That's also where Emily Blunt's portrayal of Margaret really stood out to me. I thought she was truly inspired in this. She doesn't just play someone caught up in the mystery, she draws us into it. Through her, the audience starts to feel the pull. That slow build of curiosity, uncertainty, fear, awe, and wonder. Her own experience builds throughout the movie in a way that feels very Spielberg. Not because it's loud, not because it's forced, but because it feels human. You're watching someone move closer and closer to something that cannot be easily explained. And the more she moves through the experiences, the more the film invites us to experience it with her. That's what Spielberg has always done well. He doesn't just show us the impossible, he gives us a human doorway into it. And Margaret becomes that doorway. She carries the mystery, but she also carries the wonder. And for me, that is where Emily Blunt really captured the soul of the film. She embodied that classic Spielberg feeling, the sense that something extraordinary is happening, and even if it scares us, even if we don't fully understand it, we can't look away. That's the wonder I felt watching her, and that's the wonder I took with me when I walked out. One of the strongest parts of the movie for me was the way it confronted control. Because if disclosure is real and the truth is being held somewhere, then the biggest question might not be whether the public can handle it. The bigger question might be, who benefits from keeping it hidden? The film explores that idea in a really confronting way. What would someone do if they had this secret in their possession? How far would they go to protect it? What happens when the most important truth in human history becomes an asset, a weapon, a product, something to be owned, something to be controlled? That hit hard because in the real world, we often talk about governments holding the keys. Military agencies, intelligence networks, classified programs. But what if some of those keys were also held by private interests? What if the truth isn't just behind government doors, but behind corporate walls? And what if the type of disclosure we want never arrives unless someone forces the hand of those who have the most to lose? That's where this film felt very relevant. Not because it gives us simple answers, but because it knows the right questions to ask. And that is what a great disclosure story should do. It should not just show us something strange in the sky. It should make us ask, what would we do if the sky finally answered back? Walking out, I felt emotional. Actually, more than emotional. It was almost spiritual. There was this overwhelming sense of satisfaction and wonder. Like the movie had taken me through fear, tension, secrecy, awe, uncertainty, and then somehow left me feeling hopeful. And that surprised me. Because of all the darkness around this subject, the cover-ups, the secrecy, the possible manipulation, the fear of what might happen, I walked out feeling like if that day comes, maybe we'll be okay. Maybe humanity will be shaken, maybe we'll be confused, maybe we'll be overwhelmed, but maybe we'll also adapt. Maybe we'll look at each other, look at the sky, and realize that tomorrow being different doesn't mean it has to be worse. That was the emotional power of the film for me. It made disclosure feel enormous, but not hopeless. And of course, I couldn't help but think about Existence Unknown. If that day came, what would I bring to the channel? Where would we go next? Would we still be working on disclosing more? Would the mission become about digging deeper into who knew what, when they knew it, and how long it was kept from us? Or would the channel pivot into something bigger? The meaning of it, the psychological impact, the spiritual questions, the human adjustment. The question of where we fit into the universe suddenly feels much more alive. I honestly don't know, and I think that's part of why the movie hit me so hard. Because it made me imagine myself in the moment, not as a character in a film, not as someone watching from the outside, but as Mike from Existence Unknown trying to work out what I would say to you if the world really changed. Would we be trying to uncover more hidden information? Would we be trying to understand what has been kept from us? Would we be trying to help people process the psychological shock? Would we be asking what it means for religion, science, consciousness, history, and our understanding of reality? Would existence unknown become less about proving something is out there and more about understanding what it means now that everyone knows? I don't have the answer, but I can tell you this. It's something I'm excited to be a part of. Because if disclosure really happens, the conversation won't end. It will begin. And that's why I wanted to keep this review spoiler-free. Because I want this to become a conversation. I want people to come back after seeing it and say, Mike, this is what it did to me. Because everyone is going to bring something different into this film. Some people will watch it as a Spielberg movie. Some people will watch it as science fiction. Some people will watch it through the lens of real-world disclosure. Some people might watch it and realize they're not as ready for the day as they thought they were. And that's what fascinates me. The movie gives us more than spectacle. It gives us a space to ask what disclosure would actually mean. Not just politically or scientifically, but personally. What would it do to your worldview? What would it do to your faith? Your fear? Your sense of place in the universe? What would it do to the way you look at tomorrow? That's the conversation I want to have here on Existence Unknown. So my non-spoiler verdict: Disclosure Day is powerful, emotional, mysterious, beautifully made, and genuinely thought-provoking. It feels like Spielberg, but it doesn't feel like a simple repeat of what he's done before. It has moments that remind you of the classics, but the message feels built for right now. For me, it delivered the spectacle, but more importantly, it delivered the feeling of standing at the edge of something bigger. The feeling of asking, what if this actually happened? And the feeling that maybe, just maybe, humanity could survive the truth. It works because its characters don't just react to disclosure, they embody the different ways humanity might need it. With logic, with fear, with faith, with creativity, with resistance, and with wonder. And through Margaret, Emily Blunt gives the audience something incredibly important. A way in, a way to feel the mystery, a way to carry the wonder. And that is why, for me, Disclosure Day felt more than a movie. Here's my last word. Disclosure Day may be fiction, but the reason why it hit me so hard is because it didn't feel distant. It felt possible. Not necessarily in the exact way the film shows it. Not with a perfect movie structure, not with a clean ending, not with one dramatic moment where the entire world suddenly understands everything. But emotionally, it felt close, because the real disclosure story, if it ever comes, won't just be about crafts, beings, files, or technology. It will be about us, how we react, how we change, how we make meaning from it, how we decide what tomorrow becomes. And walking out of the film, I didn't feel afraid of that tomorrow. I felt ready to ask the next question. And that, to me, is why Disclosure Day worked. So now I'm asking you directly, if you've seen Disclosure Day, I want your experience in the comments right now. How did it make you feel? Did you walk out excited, emotional, overwhelmed, hopeful, disturbed, inspired? And if you haven't seen it yet, make me a promise. Go and see it. Experience it for yourself. Then come back here and tell me what it did to you. And again, subscribe if you haven't already, because I want you to be able to find this video again after you've seen the film. Come back, drop your comment, and become part of this conversation. Because this isn't just about reviewing a movie. This is about using a movie to open a different kind of disclosure conversation. A conversation about meaning, about emotion, about wonder, about fear, about what humanity does when the impossible becomes real. And that is exactly why this belongs on Existence Unknown. And as you know, I'm Mike. Stay curious and be sure to share what you know with those that are willing to listen. And while you're here, stick around, watch one of our other disclosure episodes, because there's going to be plenty more of this to come.